Hi, hello, and welcome to another brand new episode of The Crafting Coach. Thanks again for joining me. My name is Megan Rosendahl. I am the Crafting Coach, and as promised, here is the third and final way to learn how to knit. 2 weeks ago, we knitted a scarf with our arms. Last week, we knitted with needles. And this week, I'm going to show you how to knit with a loom. And instead of making a scarf, we're going to make a hat instead. This is an incredibly easy process that literally anyone can do. It's easy on the hands, very user-friendly, and the completed hat can be made in a couple of hours. Once again, we only need a few things for this week's project. One loom. This came in a pack at Hobby Lobby for 15 bucks. A pick tool, which comes with the loom, yarn, and a scissors. The pack I found has these 4 sizes. The larger two will make an adult-sized hat, and the smaller ones are perfect for making a child's hat or mittens. Also, when choosing your yarn, you have a couple of options. If you use a lighter weight, use 2 identical skeins so your hat is thicker. You could also use both ends of the same skein. If you're using a bulky yarn, 1 skein is enough. All in all, we're going to be duplicating the same 2 processes over and over, with a couple exceptions. As always, our first step is to cast on. Find the peg that sticks out from the loom and wrap a bit of yarn around it to anchor it. Then, starting with the peg next to your anchor, wrap the yarn around each peg in a counterclockwise motion. Don't wrap this too tightly, but it does need to be snug. When you get back around to where you started, move the yarn to the bottom of the pegs so we can do the exact same thing around the entire loom again. This is the only time that we're wrapping the yarn twice, as we'll always need 2 loops to work our knit. Once you're back to the beginning again, anchor your yarn and grab your pick tool. Find the first peg that you started on, which if you're looking at it should be just to the left. Notice the small grooves in each peg. Slide your pick tool under the bottom loop and bring it over the top loop and off the peg. Repeat the same process around the entire loom. When you've gone all the way around, use your hands to slide the remaining yarn back down to the bottom of the pegs again. We'll repeat these same 2 processes, the loop and the grab, as I like to call them, for pretty much the entirety of our hat. There are 2 exceptions, however. The first exception comes when we've got about 5 or 6 inches done. If you don't want a brim on your hat, but rather this cute little curl, never mind what I'm saying, just keep going. But if you do want a brim, we're going to do something a little different. Grab the entire hat and pull it through the loom. Find the first loop that we created for each row and loop them around its corresponding peg, making sure that you're looping 1 around each and every peg. Now, instead of wrapping more yarn on, simply grab your pick tool and continue on in the exact same way. You've basically doubled over your yarn to make a thick brim. Now just keep continuing in the same way as before. You can measure or just eyeball how long you want your hat to be, but whenever you are done, this is the other time that we'll do a slightly different process. First, don't move the yarn down to the bottom of the peg, but this time leave it at the top. Snip off your yarn, giving yourself plenty of extra. Then take a bit more yarn and snip that off too, folding it in half so there's a loop at one end, but still enough to go around the entire hat. Grab your loom and count back 4 or 5 pegs, then loop this piece around that. Take the excess yarn and wrap it around the loom under the yarn loops. Now we'll start at the same place that we usually start. Grab your pick tool again and grab the top loop this time. Go over the bottom loop, then sort of twist and pull the yarn through this loop, pulling all the excess yarn out. Keep going all the way around, and once you get back to the peg where you made your original loop, just pull the yarn off that peg and continue until you're done. You'll see what I'm doing here in a minute. Just pay attention to the 3 pieces of extra yarn that we now have. Using your hands or your pick tool, remove each piece of yarn from the pegs. Flip your hat completely inside out and find the 3 pieces of extra yarn. Grabbing the 2 ends of the newly added piece in one hand and the rest of the hat in the other, pull the yarn tight. Tie a simple square knot in the yarn, snip off the excess, and flip the hat back right side out. And congrats, you were all done. You've just made a perfect hat that anyone will love. Want to make a hat for a child? Just grab a smaller loom. Want to make matching mittens? Use an even smaller one. Want to add a pom-pom to the top? Be my guest. Want to send me completed photos of hats and scarves that you've made? Please do. Just send me an email at mrosendahl@aberdeennews.com, and those photos could end up in a future episode of The Crafting Coach. And don't forget to stop back next Friday morning at 11 a.m. where I'll have another brand new project just for you. We'll tear it apart, we'll break it down, I'll tell you what to do, tell you what not to do, and hopefully we'll have just a little bit of fun along the way. Be sure to follow my Crafting Coach board on Pinterest. You can find me under Megan Rosendahl, and also be sure to follow the American News online and on Facebook, where every single Crafting Coach video is available for you. On the American News homepage, just hover your mouse over the Features tab and scroll down to the Crafting Coach. You can also follow the Crafting Coach directly on Facebook, and you can even tweet me at crafting_coach. Thanks again so much, everyone, and we'll see you all next week. Bye!